Now, Ohio State isn't the only team to head west, young man. Penn State hit the road to visit SoCal and Lincoln Riley's Trojans, and I have a video here I want to play for you guys. So, and if you're just listening, completely fine. I'll narrate this for you. So, USC has an experience where you can actually run out on the field with a team. And for those that you can't see this right now, this is all this TikTok is saying. I'm narrating this TikTok for you. No one said that you actually had to be a USC fan in order to do this experience, though. So a Nittany Lion fan paid for the experience, and he ran out on the field with the Trojans at the start of the game. I guess USC doesn't care as long as they get the money. This guy running out with his Insta 360 and hyping up the crowd, but he's wearing Penn State everything and running out on the field with the Trojans. I just wonder if the guys are just looking at him going, what's this idiot doing? It's funny. You should see the video. If you're not watching us, you can find us on YouTube and watch that there. Is Penn State proving themselves as one of the few that will represent the Big Ten this season in the playoffs? Dalton, I'll start with you, man.
So far, yes. The crazy thing is, if this was still a 4-team playoff, I'd be telling you that they're doing exactly what they always do. They're going to find themselves just outside that bubble because Penn State just can't seem to be on the same level of what used to be Ohio State and Michigan. It's now currently Ohio State and Oregon. But when you look at this game against USC's been so up and down this year. Losing to Michigan, really struggling with a Minnesota team as well. Like USC just struggles. A team that we thought after beating LSU was going to go and, hey, they're going to compete in the Big Ten this year. And then, Penn State goes on the road, gets down 20-6 early, starting to do some Penn State things. I still think that they're going to find a way to be on the bubble. That's just my prediction right now. They still have Ohio State coming up on their schedule. The rest of their schedule, they don't play another ranked team, but they struggled with USC here, which makes me think that they're vulnerable in some areas. I don't think that USC has a great defense. I haven't thought Lincoln Riley has had a good defense in any of the years he's been a head coach. And that's why you look at the stats. Penn State was able to put up 518 total yards. They were able to rush for over 100 yards, but again, when everything's through the air, you're not relying on the ground game. The wild thing is they just couldn't get anything going in the first half. So I think that they have some vulnerabilities. I think that in the Big Ten at any point, because teams are so up and down, and at this point, I think that just because you're 6-0 doesn't necessarily mean that, like I'll say, I don't think Penn State's the 4th best team in the country. They're deserving to be in the top 10 because they're 6-0 and they're finding ways to win. But my opinion is they will find a way. They'll lose to Ohio State and they will find a way to drop another one. And depending on who you drop, that's going to knock you down even further. So my prediction, they're going to find themselves on the bubble again. And maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I don't see Penn State as being elite like they're ranked right now.
Yeah. It's in games like this where it really pays to have a great kicker on scholarship, does it not?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, freaking USC. Well, Penn State gets it to overtime. Penn State outscored USC 24-10 in the second half to force overtime. Ends up winning 33-30, obviously in overtime, but USC's kicker missed a 43-yard field goal on the first possession in overtime, on USC's possession in overtime, and on the ensuing overtime possession, Penn State's kicker, Ryan Barker, makes a 36-yard field goal to win it. They knew all they needed was a field goal. They didn't put the ball in the air. They didn't put the ball in harm's way. They relied on their kicker. Their kicker had a heck of a day. One thing that Penn State had this week that we hadn't seen from them, their tight end tied a record for tight end receptions in a game. He had 17 receptions for 224 yards in this game and 1 touchdown. He accounted, let's do this math here. Drew Aller threw for 391 yards. 224 of it was to that tight end. So he accounted for all but about 170-ish yards of their passing game. Drew Aller had a really good game. He did throw 3 interceptions. One of the interceptions was the last play of regulation where they tried to go Hail Mary and not let it go to overtime. They wanted to just take the lead, tried to go, and it ended up getting intercepted. But, I mean, I kind of disagree with Dalton on this one. I think Penn State is in the playoff. If they only lose to Ohio State, I don't see any other teams. They don't play anybody other than Ohio State. I don't see any other teams sneaking up on them. I've talked a lot about Drew Aller in past podcasts. I'm not the biggest Drew Aller fan. I mean, but this guy went 30 for 43, 391 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, like I said. But I just don't think anybody's gonna sneak up on them and beat them. I think they're tough enough in the trenches where they're getting the job done. And if you go 11-1 in the Big Ten, there's no chance that you don't make the playoff. I think Penn State is in the playoff as of this moment. I don't even think they're a bubble team. I think they're going to be somewhere in the 6 to 9 range, and they're going to be in the playoff.
Penn State gets a week off here before they head to Wisconsin, who has really come on the last 2 weeks, and they've found a quarterback in Braden Locke. 2 weeks ago against Purdue, he threw for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then they put up 42 points against the Rutgers, who have been not a great team in the Big 12, but they've been coming on as of late, and he threw for 240 yards there, a touchdown and interception. Miller, in my opinion, he's playing better ball than Miller Moss right now. And I think that Wisconsin is a better team right now than USC. And I think that Wisconsin at home is going to be fired up and ready for that game. We're going to see some old school Wisconsin stadium antics where that stadium is just rocking out for an undefeated Penn State at home. That's one where I think Penn State has a really good chance of dropping right after Ohio State.
I mean, you can't put anything into the win against Purdue. Purdue's lost their last 5 games.
That's fair, but when you
they're 1-5. Their only game they won was against nobody. I don't even remember who it was. Their only game they won was against nobody, and they've lost the last 5, and most of them by a large amount. Purdue's not any good. Rutgers, you're right. Rutgers has had a better season than they normally do, but I don't think you can put any stock into that. My feeling is right now, Penn State is going to be in. If they do slip up, which, I mean, there's obviously a possibility to slip up. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. There's an opportunity for anybody to slip up. OU scored 3 against Texas. Like, anybody can give up points, right? But sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm so angry. But I don't know how you keep Penn State out. Honestly, even if they go 10-2, I don't know how you keep them out.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Midweek Breakdown podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe and check out the full podcast that drops every Wednesday during football season right here.